Iran is learning all of this tonight the hard way. Joining us now from the Senate Armed Services Committee, Arkansas Senator Tom Cotton. Senator, maybe it's a little early to go there, but this will go down in history as one of the greatest military victories, taking out the #1 state sponsor of terror. They have been responsible for hundreds of thousands of missiles between themselves and their proxies being fired into Israel. They have threatened to wipe Israel and the U.S. off the map, and that threat has been removed tonight.
Yes, Sean, it's a decisive moment in American history. For 46 years, Iran has terrorized the United States. For 25 years, therefore, American presidents have said Iran can't have nuclear weapons. But it took Donald Trump to actually act on that promise. It was Donald Trump who sent our men and women tonight to once and for all destroy Iran's deep underground bunkers and to bring an end to their nuclear weapons program. I commend for the President Trump for his resolute and strong action. I join him in commending our troops for their incredibly brave and skillful action tonight. And finally, to reiterate what he said, what you just reminded the Ayatollahs, that they can still have peace. The ball is in their court. But if they target Americans, if they target our troops in the region, if they mine the Persian Gulf, if they target Americans around the world, then they will indeed, once again, feel the full force and might of the United States military.
Perhaps they underestimated, perhaps they didn't believe the president, perhaps they thought they were going to call his bluff, but now they don't have nuclear weapons, which is what Donald Trump said they could never have. Now the president, at the end of his statement, said, now is the time for peace. Thank you for your attention to this matter. There are other targets that were left untouched today. There are refineries. That is the heart and soul of the Iranian economy. I happen to know that most of them are centrally located in one area in this little island off Iran. That would be probably one of the easiest targets our military would ever have to hit. That would be the end of their economy. If you wanted to take out their power grid, it's gas-driven. That also would be a very easy target, especially in light of what the United States military, under the command of President Trump, was able to do tonight. So a lot more damage can be done. What do you think is happening with the few remaining leaders that they have in Iran? Because the Israelis took out, I think, 3 more top generals in the Iranian Revolutionary Guard.
Well, Sean, I think you're right about the targets that haven't been struck yet. President Trump and Prime Minister Netanyahu have targeted tonight their nuclear weapons bunkers. Before that, the Israeli Defense Forces were targeting ballistic missiles and launchers and radars, but they have not targeted the political leadership itself, the Syria and those immediately around them. They have not targeted those oil refineries, other critical infrastructure, as a signal to the Ayatollahs that there's much more damage to be done if they try to retaliate against Americans in the Middle East or elsewhere. That's why President Trump has said tonight on social media, and I suspect he'll say again in a few minutes from the Oval Office, that it's in Iran's court now to decide whether there's going to be peace or whether there's going to be further war. I hope the leaders of Iran understand at this point that Donald Trump does not bluff, that Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu together mean business. And they have ended Iran's nuclear program, which was the key military objective that America has had for years. And it took Donald Trump to finally do so.
We can't understate what Israel has done in this case. And Israel has shown that there's only so many missiles you can fire into their country. But they were able to sneak in drones for the initial attack that they had against Iran. They took out their top scientists. They've taken out their top generals. In the last 24 hours, they took out Iranian Revolutionary Guard generals, top generals that they had there. They were able to knock out their missile defense system. They opened up the skies. The Israelis controlled the skies, which made tonight's mission that much less dangerous. We saw what they did with Hamas. They took out the top, 7 leaders of Hamas. They took Nasrallah, who'd been in power for 35 years out of Lebanon. They took out other top Hezbollah leaders as well. Then we had the pager incident. Between dealing with the might and power of the United States, and only the United States could pull off what happened tonight, And coupled with what the Israelis did in the lead up to tonight, I think they'd be very foolish to think that this is worth going any further.
Well, I certainly hope so. Again, as President Trump said, it's up to Iran now to make peace. He offered them many chances. For 2 months, he offered them deals to negotiate and turn over their nuclear weapons programs. They didn't take him seriously. They didn't take Prime Minister Netanyahu seriously. They see now the consequences of that. Decades of great expense and effort to build a nuclear weapons program in deep underground bunkers are now up in smoke. If they want to target Americans in the region or around the world, there are many more targets inside of Iran. So I cannot stress enough what President Trump has said, that they should not retaliate against our troops or American citizens anywhere if they want to continue in power.
I know there are precarious days ahead, Senator, but let's look ahead a little bit here on the other side of this. You know, the president also said to the Supreme Leader, we know right now where you are. We're not going to kill you, but we know where you are. He did make that statement. And I think I would venture a pretty good guess tonight that the world, and especially that region, is breathing a sigh of relief tonight, because nobody wanted Iranian hegemony. What Donald Trump accomplished in his first term that he never really got a lot of credit for was the shared intelligence and the partnership that he had with the United States and Israel and the Emirates and the Saudis and the Egyptians and the Jordanians, all against Iranian hegemony. I would imagine that the leaders of all of those countries tonight are grateful to President Donald J. Trump.
Yes, I agree, Sean. There are two things respected above all else in the Middle East: strength and iron will. Donald Trump has demonstrated both tonight. Benjamin Netanyahu has demonstrated over the last few weeks. Our militaries, both the United States and the Israeli Defense Forces, have demonstrated their capabilities are second to none. So it's time for Iran's leaders to make a decision. Do they want to bring this to a close by suing for peace and accepting the terms that we will provide? Or do they want to take their lives into their own hands by targeting Americans in the region or around the world? Again, as you said, President Trump posted that we know where the Supreme Leader is. Israel, over the last year and a half, has killed the leaders of Hamas 3 times, and Hezbollah, supposedly buried in underground bunkers or tunnels. Does the Supreme Leader really want to risk that for himself, those around him, and the critical sources of Iran's regime and economy, like those oil refineries or like those gas fields? It's in their court now. They need to make the right decision not to target Americans.
We appreciate your time. Senator Tom Cotton, thank you for joining us this Saturday night. Let me go now. Joining us now, he's the host